I'm good yourself, advocate.
I'm very well, Ali.
Thank you so much, advocate. All right, we're gonna start advocate in 30 seconds. Let's go through. All right, I'd like to take this time and thank everyone who have promised that they'll be joining the show. We'll welcome them as soon as they come live. Yep, this Go Youth podcast. It's actually a online radio station. It's for the youth, all different from different countries or province. It doesn't matter where you are. As long as you have access to internet, you have a smartphone or your laptop, you're able to join us. Tonight, actually, we'll be looking on this motion, which I know a lot of people they are eager or actually they want to. I try to appetize a lot of people by actually sharing the topic with them, and I believe I already appetize people now. I just want to hear how will they ventilate the topic, because what we are going to talk about today or what you're going to go through tonight is that we have noticed that Africa has become the battlefield for global powers. Looking at the countries such as China, India, US, AU, Israel, they're actually fighting for it out in the continent. The question is that who is winning and what is in Africa that they're actually fighting for? I would like to get your views, especially starting from Advocate Abram and moving to Alton. What is your view on this matter that the global power, these nations which are actually power, they are fighting actually for to be in Africa? What is in Africa that they're actually fighting for? We'll start with Alton.
Okay, hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, like hence I've said, I did receive the topic, the main topic of today. I'm not sure if I can follow, but then I'll just answer towards my understanding. Okay.
Yes,
First
sir.
thing first. First thing first. Let's Africa it's rich, ne? Africa it's rich, but then the problem is people from Africa are suffering. They're not rich. This simply means there are people out there whom are the tycoons. Okay, they get some resources from our place or from our country, then they use them. Like Israel, people from Israel are now poor, but then their country is rich. Ne? So what I can say is now, let's check China. China is rich, it's winning from Africa. US it's rich, it's winning from Africa. Okay, the only people who are winning here, they are the white monopoly capital, of which it's China. I'm sorry to use the race, of which is China and US. Let's not forget the fact that now, when we look at South Africa as such, there are a lot of minerals here. I'm lucky I came from the very same place which they have mines, but then people from here, they're not even working. The people who are working here are the Anglo Americans. They get millions, they get billions from our country, but then people from this very same place are not working at all. You get me? So, like I've said, to answer your question, Africa is losing, but then the other countries are winning. This is the statement for now. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We can move
Now,
towards
now,
Abra.
yeah. So now, actually, as I said, that we see the superpower nations, the likes of the AU, the USA, China, Asia. They are fighting for something that is within Africa. The question is that what is the race? What are they actually fighting for? Let me hear Advocate Abram. How will he tackle it? Advocate, advocate.
Thank you very much, Ali. And good evening to Elton also.
Amen.
My view on this one. Remember, Ali, Africa is one of the richest continent ever when it comes to minerals. We are holding the largest scales of
Yeah.
minerals. And surprisingly,
Yeah. Okay. You're on mute, advocate. You're on mute. Try to unmute so that you can hear you, advocate. Because currently you're on mute. Advocate. Okay. It looks like advocate is still on mute. Let's give it a try and see if we can get advocate back. Okay. At Elton, one thing that I
Yes, sir.
was actually asking, one thing that I was
Yes,
asking was that these nations which are rich, they are
yeah,
actually fighting for something that is within Africa. Now, the main
yeah.
question is that what are they actually fighting for? Because we can see that the superpower nations, they're in a race in order for them to make sure that they get what they want in Africa. The main question is that what are they fighting for? What are they looking for in Africa?
Like I've just said, Africa is rich, but people from Africa are poor. They are fighting for this very same richness we're talking about because they have this kind of mentality whereby they will say, people from Africa, they cannot do anything. So now let's just come with our equipment and do whatever we want to do. And then after what they do, they give us peanuts. You get me? So they are fighting for
Yeah.
our
Okay.
Mr.
So yes, yes, yes. So you're saying basically they are fighting for the resources.
They are the resource, the very same resources. I don't know. It's is it okay to name them? But if ever we
Yeah,
want to
yes, you
name them,
can.
I can say
Yes, you can.
some of them they are these kind of minerals we have in Africa. The diesel we have in Africa. You see,
Yeah,
those are the
definitely.
things.
So, yeah,
Yeah, those are the
go
things
through.
that they are fighting for.
Okay, so it means that these superpower nations, they have the capabilities and enough funding in order. And I so wonder, how do they have access to come to our country and come and mine or take the resources? Because we have the Pan Africanism movement, which are actually fighting against that to say that if people wants to come to our country to come and mine our resources or to come and take our minerals, they need to make sure that they invest in that country that they're going to collect the mineral from before, because they have seen that most of these superpower nations, when they come to Africa, they are here to enrich themselves but not to take care of the community where they're taking the resources from. From your point of view, what might be instigating such things whereby we see superpower nations such as America coming to South Africa to collect the resources or the minerals without even empowering the nation or upskilling the local communities? What might be instigating to such things? Because we see such things are growing, where we see mines and a lot of businesses are operating, and of view that a lot of people are not benefiting from there. What might be instigating such?
You know, there's what we call spider networking, of which is one of the rules and one of the fundamentals in Africa. It is written in the constitution. It says that if ever you come into my country or you come into the place or you come into my house, you start the business, you need to make sure you empower me. There is a 30% of which you need to contribute, okay? But then the very same 30%, you're not gonna contribute it by means of giving me money. No. You will contribute the very same 30% by empowering me. You get me? So what they basically
Yeah,
do, let's start with mining. Let's start with mining now. They come, they come here, and they mine, they take these very same resources, they take them back towards their country. After they do manufacture whatever they want to manufacture, after they're gonna sell them back to us. Ne? So let's come to a point whereby they don't even empower people from Africa or South Africa as such.
Yeah.
They come here, they mine all of South Africans, they become general workers. You will never be upgraded by means of being a general worker. There's nothing
Mm.
like empowerment when speaking of general worker. Because what you're gonna do is hard labor. That's all. You get me? So
Yeah. Yeah.
the other question you ask is this: where do they get this very same permission to mine or to do whatever they wanna do? They get them from our leaders, I can say our political leaders. They give them chance
Yeah.
because they know they is when they give them the chance to come into our country and mine or do whatever they want to do. There's a certain amount they give them, and of which this is the very same amount they have to do what? They have to empower people from Africa. Okay, so
Yeah.
this could be this could be fixed only if we have what we call the leaders, but then not the comrades. There's a huge difference between the comrade and the leader. So South Africa is being led by the comrades, not the leaders.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. 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 So,
Yeah.
are you saying that politics are also having a hand into what we're talking about? Do you think politicians might be instigating some of the things which are actually taking part?
Definitely, definitely, that's true, Mr. Ali. If you can check now, a lot of politicians in Africa or in South Africa, they have businesses overseas, and if you can check, this kind of business is what they meant to have before. This is because they've changed something. For example, now people are having businesses in only to make sure that people from US, they come here, they mine our resources, and they go with our resources after they sell them back to us. So to answer your question, I will say politicians, they play a vital role in this kind of thing because a lot of politicians, not them all, a lot of politicians are totally corrupt.
Mm. Mm. What a point! What a point in that one, Honorable Alton. Yeah, one thing that also I wanted to say is that you spoke about the role that the politicians that are playing today, that they actually incorporate companies in return to make sure that they, I could say, maybe they employ, or I could say, um, they invited the foreign companies or the foreign investors. In return, themselves they'll benefit individually without in looking at the corporate social responsibility and the corporate social investment that needs to be taken part, looking on the constitution of South Africa, which says that we have the corporate social responsibility and the corporate social investment, which means if it's a foreign company operating in South Africa, it has a responsibility to make sure that it educates or it empowers the nation. On the corporate social investment, it says that it needs to make sure that it invests into the community by taking care of the communities, otherwise in terms of incorporating training centers, or giving people the skill in order for the people to be able to move to the next level. Now you are saying that politicians are actually playing a role. My confusion is that we know that the role of the politicians have been elected by the community members. How can the politicians now, I could say, sidestep the community? Because it looks like now they're no longer playing the role which they were actually given by the community members.
Okay, let's face the reality, Mr. Ali. I like the point you indicated, whereby you says, how possible is this? They become people whom I will say, they backstab the community. That's the word I can use for now. This is because they are politicians when they're still recruiting on, or when they're still canvassing. But then after they get any position or whatever position they want, they're no longer politicians. Okay, they become individuals amongst themselves. They become a group when they are together, but then when they go wherever they want to go, they call themselves individualism. Okay, I'm saying this because you can canvass in a number of being 7 to 10, but then the only people whom they will benefit is only two. So this is no longer a group or this is no longer a party, if not an organization. It's being individualism. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if ever you will answer with this one.
Okay. Come back on your point. You're saying.
I am saying now, when they're still canvassing, they are politicians, okay? But then after,
Yeah.
when they get whatever position they might get, they're no longer politicians. It's being individualism, because the only people whom they will benefit, it won't be the community, but them only. So
Through that.
by the way I can say, we give them the leverage to do whatever they wanna do, hoping that they're gonna bring back or they're gonna deliver everything that they did promise us. But it's unfortunate that they don't do anything. Now, if you can check, let's face the reality, or let's pick whatever that is happening now. We went to vote for whatever party people are voting for, or they did voted for, but then there are no any service deliveries. If you can check now, there's still load shedding that taking part. But then the people whom they did took the money or looted the money, they're not being affected by this very same load shedding. There's no way that you can be affected by this very same load shedding, whereas you live in each state. You elect someone today or you vote for someone today, then tomorrow the very same people will live in the townships. So why was they used to vote for these very same people? Because by the time they were still canvassing, they were politicians. But then after they get whatever they want to get, individual. Okay.
Yeah. No, no, no. Definitely, I agree with you, my leader. I agree with you, my leader. When you're talking about the politicians that they're actually taking these things for themselves. Now, let's put it in this way. I want to put Honorable Stembizo on the line. Stembizo, can you hear us?
I can't hear
Yes,
anything
my brother.
clearly.
Okay, let me put Stembizo. Stembizo, what is your view? We see countries. I mean, countries such as continents such as the AU. I mean, the USA, the EU, Asia. We see side of China. These countries. I mean, I'm referring to the superpower countries, which are actually for fighting. To have access to Africa. My colleague here, Elton, is actually suggesting that they might be fighting for the minerals which are in Africa. Now we're asking ourselves a question: why are these superpower nations fighting to come to South Africa? And why are they here to come and take the minerals in South Africa? Because we have companies here in South Africa which can do gold, we can do a lot of things. Why are the superpower nations leaving their countries and coming to South Africa to come and take our minerals and resources to our country? What is wrong with our politicians? What is wrong with our country? What is your views, Tembisa?
Thank you, Ali. My view on this is that we lack leadership in our country. We actually are looking outside for
Mr.
solutions.
Ali,
We never look into ourselves, and we are undermining ourselves actually.
That might be the issue in terms of
Mr.
our
Ali,
African. Okay, just hold a second. Yes, Elton. Yes, Elton.
yeah, like I've said, I am driving now. May I just switch off for 2 minutes? Then I'll be home. Then it's when I can come back, please.
Okay. All right. It's fine then.
Yeah, just 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
I'll get back.
All right. Okay. Not a problem. So, okay. Yeah, Professor Washiri, we'll put you back now. So you are saying that we are doubting ourselves, correct? Stambisa? Stambisa? Stambisa, so you are saying that the main contributor is that we are doubting ourselves.
Yes, that's what I'm actually saying.
What do you mean by saying we're doubting ourselves? In which criteria though?
Okay, for an instance, look at what happened the previous year when the COVID, the pandemic started. We panicked as a country, and our leaders started borrowing money from other worlds and the World Bank as well, instead of just waiting a bit and looking into the issue and deal with it.
You're right. On that note, I agree with you because what they did when they heard about the COVID-19, they checked their resources, they checked the money that they had, and eventually they could see that the scarce commodity that the country is having, it won't be enough to that point whereby the country can operate. And what they did, they made a plan to make sure that they go to the World Bank to ask for money in order for them to be able to run the country. Now,
Yeah,
the worry part, the money was looted, so to say. It was said that the money had been looted.
yeah. There are many things that are happening within our leadership because as you can look at the world from where we're coming from,
Yeah.
by the people who were in leadership and actual. So the people who are selling us are the who are at the front.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, because of money, because they want resources which they did not work for. We actually don't want to work, but we depend on other countries to feed us and to give us all these technologies and whatsoever which we know nothing about. We just know only how to operate them, not to create them.
I fully agree with you, my friend, on that note. I fully agree with you on that note.
Because if you
Most
look at
of
China,
yeah,
if you look at China, China have invested a lot in themselves. When the times of apartheid and whatsoever, they chose to suffer for a long time. Now look at China; it has grown, and it now wants to rule the world. Even the other worlds are actually scared of China because they have actually invested in themselves. We never invest in ourselves. We just take.
okay. Now let me bring Professor Adolf Pupape. Professor Adolf, good evening to you.
Hey Ali, how are you?
I'm good, and you, Professor. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. I'm very fine. How is it going?
No, we're doing good, Professor. I'm asking you that side.
Everything is fine. Where's the other member? Stembiso, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir.
Yes, I'm good. So Ali, what's the
Yeah.
what's the what's the topic today?
The motion. Professor, what we are looking at tonight, Prof, is that Africa has become the battle for global power, such as China, India, AU, and Israel. They are actually
Yes.
fighting, it out in the continent. The main question is that who is going to win and what are they fighting for and what is within Africa that they're actually fighting for.
Okay. Let me start about who's going to win. I don't think there'll be anyone who's going to win, but it just depends with the. This thing is just geopolitics, you see. So it's not specific who can win, who will not win, because each and every country they are trying by so many means to invest. Like currently US, Germany, and the France, they want to invest in our energy system, to improve our electricity. They want to invest in clear electricity. So those are some of the things that they want to invest. And then the Chinese as well, they're as well investing technology into us, and then they want to gain popularity and ownership of Africa. The thing about Africa is that Africa is classified as the mother continent of Earth because it contains almost 98% of the minerals that are produced worldwide come from Africa. And agriculturally as well, Africa is the same. So each and every country, they are eager to own Africa because of those minerals. And then what happens? What's funny, or what I am seeing that might result in these people, they might result. It might result in a situation by it's a very dangerous situation whereby Africans might be extinct, so that those countries which are fighting for Africa can own this continent alone without us, because we are actually disturbing them. So yes,
So,
they
so
eager
prof,
to
so
own
prof, so prof, so
Africa.
prof, what you're saying is that possibilities are high that this superpower nation might win Africa and own it.
Yes, yes, they are very high, because what's happening is that they go through our leadership. Our leadership and politics are very poor, so they attract them. Once they attract them, they attract ownership. That's what is happening. And this thing is a war. It's a war that is not only about. They are not only focusing on saving Africans. They actually don't want Africans, because we are actually disturbing them from owning this continent. This continent is full of minerals, like extremely full of minerals. Gold, Africa alone, like South Africa, for example, we owning about 54% of worldwide gold. And then the rest of the world countries are sharing the remaining 46%. So you can imagine from there. And those minerals, they have over decades or millennium or so to get depleted. There's still so many years for those minerals to be depleted. So those countries are eager, and Nigeria is full of oil. So these countries, they're eager to come and attract. Remember, you might own the technology, you might own everything, but if you don't have minerals, you are just worthless. Your country is worthless. Actually, by the stats, South Africa is supposed to be the richest country in the world. But according to, based on this geopolitics and the 1652 things of Jan van Riebeck has affected us a lot. The history there, it has affected us a lot. That is why I'm sorry I don't bring politics here, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's politics. That is why I side with the policies of the EFF, that there must be nationalization and there must be African unity, and Africans must have one language. Once we can be united, those countries will not infiltrate us. But the way we are also separated. Our leaders are separating us because they've been captured. You see, so that's the weakness part of Africa, and it risking the lives of the Africans as well.
Definitely, Professor. I definitely agree with you, Prof, because um, if you can go into detail and try to see what is happening in Africa as a whole,
Mm.
Prof, you know that Africa, it remain a powerhouse actually in the production of natural resources and
Yes,
invention, despite
yes,
actually the social and the political issues in the continent undergo. I can tell you, with over 54 countries, the continent is rapidly developing. I could say with new invention and technology each day. So far, I can tell you, Prof. Looking on the gross domestic product of 2019, it definitely
yes,
tells you that when we look at Nigeria, the West African countries actually has the largest economy in the continent. That actually stands at 400 and is around 446. How much is it? I remember it was about 446.5 billion US dollar, which actually I can tell you with a lot of resources which are there actually, a professor in Nigeria. And Nigeria actually, Prof, it remains the African's highest producer in terms of the gross domestic product output, and is the continent's largest crude oil exporter. Prof,
yes,
when we look on the list, it tells us that South Africa is actually with a gross domestic product that is amount to 371.3 billion US dollar. South Africa
yes,
actually it went into a recession. You remember South Africa went into a recession after two consecutive quarter of negative GDP growth. And I can
yes,
tell you, the financial services, the mining, the personal services were only the industries actually to positive growth, with the fourth quarter actually in 20 I remember it was in 2019. And when you look at into Egypt actually, Egypt is the land of pyramid, which has actually an estimated gross domestic product of about 302.2 billion US dollar. And I can tell you, Prof, the gross domestic product, which actually is coming from Egypt, it has grown to 5.6 in 2019, up to 5.3 into 2018. And the sector which we know that Egypt is contributing into the African gross domestic product, we are looking at actually tourism, wholesale, retail trade, and we're also looking at the real estate, which actually is the main driver of the economic growth when we're looking at Egypt. Looking at Algeria, Professor, I can tell you that the country is exposed to a performance of hydrocarbon, including oil and natural gas, and the hydrocarbon, which are actually making up to 70% of the the Algeria gross domestic product, which is then around
Yes.
about 183.6 billion. When we go to Morocco, Professor, I tell you that Morocco actually, Morocco is located into the north of the Africa, and Morocco is estimated to about 121.4 billion US dollar, And I can tell you, Prof, what is actually happening in Africa, it's something that you don't understand because when you look at Kenya, Professor Abu Papa, I can tell you that Kenya is sitting with a gross domestic product of around about 99.3 billion. Kenya is the quickest growing economies in the sub-Saharan Africa, and an average about 5.7% in 2019, and it benefited from an increased international investment and a stable political climate change in tourism and agriculture and technology. A clear business for agenda when you're looking at Kenya. When we look at Angola, Professor, the South African National has actually estimated a gross domestic product of around about 92 billion US dollar. And from the end of Angola civil war in 2002, I can tell you, Angola actually have been working on a political and structural reform to make sure that actually they stabilize the economy. I can tell you, Prof, when you look at Ethiopia, Professor, Ethiopia gross domestic product, it amounts to 90.1 billion US dollar. The country economic growth, Professor, it is an average of 9% annually from looking back there into 2003 to 2018. Looking at Ghana, Professor, the national stand at about 68.3 billion and is the main exporter resources such as cocoa, crude oil, gold, timber. Ghana actually, we know, Professor, that it has actually experienced an expansion of 6.3 in 2019 in the first quarter in relation to the economic growth, Professor. Now, Professor, let's look at the last one. Looking at Tanzania, Professor. Tanzania is in the Eastern Africa, which is a nation which has a population of around about 55 million people and they stand around about 62.2 billion in terms of the US dollar. I can tell you, Professor, the revival of air at Tanzania and the new hyperpower plant is actually driving it. Professor, this definitely tells us that Africa is rich. Why I'm saying Africa is rich, Professor? When we look at Africa as a whole, Professor, looking on the list of the countries which I was giving to you, Professor, when we look at the countries such as Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, Angola, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, this definitely tells you that Africa is rich, Professor. Professor, I'm putting a question on the panel. We have the top 10 countries in Africa which are actually powerful, Professor. As I told you, Algeria, Angola, Ghana, Tanzania, Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria. These are part of the countries which are very rich in Africa. Professor Washiri, why are we still poor today in Africa? Professor Washiri, why are people struggling? Why are we still relying on the foreign countries? Professor Washiri, what is happening in Africa? We see people are struggling, Professor, in Africa. Professor Washiri, you're welcome on board, Professor Washiri. Please unmute and explain to us why are we still poor in Africa, whereas we have the top 10 countries in Africa which are powerful. Professor Washiri?
Good evening, all, Mr. Ali. Can you hear me?
Yes, Professor. Please introduce yourself and where are you calling from?
Okay, I'm professionally Joshua from you, though I was busy today, and that is why I joined the show late. But I needed to join. I didn't want to miss. So Ali, today's topic I think was so much interesting. That is why I
Yeah,
had to
thank you
share
so
up.
much, Prof, for joining us live from Kenya. Let's go through, Professor.
Okay. I was to answer a question you asked, or I leave it at that point.
Please answer it, Professor.
Okay, thank you once again. So you have asked a very good question about why are we still poor? Why are we still being referred to as developing nations? The most majority of the nations in Africa, and I think I'll put at it to this point that as much as Africans we are trying to advance after the colonization era ended, but I can say that currently we are under a very serious colonization than that which was before, which was brought by the whites. Now Africans we are being colonized by Africans ourselves because those who are in leadership positions have hold resources, have they are using the resources of a country as something which belongs to a particular family. So you get that those who are in leadership position are the only one who have taken control of everything. The businesses that are engaging in with the foreign countries actually they're not to benefit and common mwananchi, a citizen who lives in that particular country, but it is just for their own benefit. So you get that because of greedy, because of a corruption, which many countries cry about corruption. So these resources have been held by just specific people, those who are in power, but the rest still remain to be poor. And we have failed to understand that as Africans, it is a time that we know we can use the resources we have for us to be successful on our own without relying on the European, or without relying on the whites or the foreign countries going there for dates for just for no reason. But we have all that it takes. So I think the problem here in Africa, we have failed to have visionary leaders. We have failed to have leaders who have a determination that as Africans we can grow without necessarily depending on loans or doing those kind of exchange things with those Europeans. Because you get that, yes, you have mentioned some of the rich countries who have which own resources, but go see even the mining, what is being done, the those contractors who are doing work in that site. You'll get that there are foreign companies which are being used in mining of those resources. You get that most of these resources are being run still by those countries which colonized us before. So you get that it is a business between our leaders and the Westerners, and not a business in Africa for the Africans. So we still remain poor because whatever is going on, the leaders have failed also to be sensitive that what is there they should do to better the lives of their citizens. But they just engage in things to please the former colonial masters. They just engage in things. Some say they are appreciating civilization, but I don't know what they are talking about. So that is the problem, according to me, Mr. Ali. I'll put it at that point. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Washiri, joining us live from Kenya country at Nairobi. All right, let's bring Professor Adolf. Professor Adolf, what is your view on what Professor Washiri have said?
I think Professor Washiri has said a mouthful exactly of what is happening. Africa, we don't have a visionarist leaders. Our leaders are desensitized. They do not have a vision. This Ali, I think it links back to that topic we once have about voting age being reduced and everything like that. We need a political education. We need to teach our young generation about their history. We need to teach a lot of this people about that. And another thing that is causing division here in Africa, I think it is countries like Egypt, which are not in the sub-Saharan, which are not included in the sub-Saharan. They are dividing themselves, and they classify themselves as the non-Africans. So that thing alone, it's reducing and causing conflicts amongst ourselves as Africans. And once we are fighting ourselves, we become vulnerable to become infiltrated by those foreign countries. So what is happening is that as an African countries, we need leaders with vision. We need leaders who have vision, leaders who understand the technology, the mining sector, and everything. Our leaders care a lot about themselves. They don't care about what is happening in the country. They don't care about uh, our mineral resources and everything. So I think Prof. Washiri has said a lot. Like he said a mouthful regarding what is happening in our country. So what we need currently is the unity in order to fix ourselves, not to be infiltrated. We need to be united. And if we are not united as an African country, it will be difficult for us to resolve this fight. You see, for example, I heard the leader of the EFF suggesting that we should have one African language, and he was suggesting Swahili as that language because it is already spoken in most African countries. So once we can have that one language, we will have an identity. Once we have that identity, then we will have one Africa, because right now we don't have identity. We are separated. For example, when you speak of Chinese people, you speak of the whole country or the whole continent. That the Asians, for example, people who speak Mandarin, they speak one common language, the whole country. When you speak of Indians, we speak of the people who speak one common language. You see, but then when you go to Spain, you speak of the whole country, people speaking one common language. But here in our countries, we are having a lot of different languages in one country, so we are ourselves divided. We are having tribal separation as well. So that thing alone has been caused by the colonization there that happened back then. But now I think if we can start by having one common language, that one common language will unite us, because when I'm from South Africa to Nigeria, or when I move from South Africa to Kenya, I'll be able to communicate with Professor Washiri without having to use the English language, with our common African language. So that thing alone will unite us. If we are having secret meetings with those people who were former colonizers or descendants of those former colonizers, we will be able to discuss our things without being heard. We need that one common language. Once we can have that one common language, we will be united. For example, Zulu people in South Africa are united because they speak one language. Pedi people in South Africa are united because they speak one language. So if the whole South Africans can have one language, that means the whole South Africans will be united, and that thing should be the same to the whole continent. That's what we need. We need to start by teaching our children one common language. And Swahili was the suggested language because it is already spoken in most countries. So it will be easy to accommodate or spread
Okay.
towards other countries. Sorry? Oh,
All right,
you
Prof.
hear me, Ali? So we need that unity. Once we can get that unity first, and then we will see another African as my brother. I will see the other African as my brother, and we'll avoid these things of internal conflict. Once we can have that, then our country or our continent will be one, will be settled, and those other countries will not infiltrate us very easily. But right now, the leader of Kenya is doing things in his own perspective. The leader of South Africa is doing things in his own perspective, does not want to listen to the leader of. So I don't even understand the purpose of this AU thing, because they have AUs, but our countries are still separated. They don't resolve those matters. Like, it's just like catastrophic situation. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ali.
Yes, Prof. All right. Thank you so much. That's Professor Arov joining us live from South Africa at the capital city of South Africa. Now, let's move very quickly. We move to Honorable Elton. Elton, what is your view based on what the speakers, Professor Washiri and also Professor Arov, what is your view based on what they were saying?
Okay, okay, thank you, Mr. Ali. I don't know if ever they can hear me
Yes, we can hear
because
you, sir.
I struggle to hear you a bit. Okay, there's a
We can hear you,
fluctuation of
sir.
network here. You can hear me definitely. Okay,
Go
no, that's
through.
fantastic. Whatever that you just said now, it's, yeah, like I was saying, whatever that professor has just said now, it's very imperative, because you can tell that now Africa as a whole, there's a lot of division in Africa. Okay, so, and of which this very same division we can see that, but then we struggle to fix this very same division. Now, when I see my brother from Zimbabwe or Mozambique or Malawi, I call him the foreigner. And of which, if we check the history of Africa, we all Africans. The foreigners are those ones who comes from maybe US and going further, Italy, Spain, and those are the foreigners, not Africans to an Africa. There's no what we call any foreigner in Africa coming from Africa. Okay. Because now let's get back towards our topic. Now, if you can check, we Africans, we fought for, I can say we fought for freedom, but then forgetting the economic part. Okay. Africans are still poor, whereas Africa it's rich. What I said in the beginning, I said Africans, they still working under this white monopoly capital. They're being used and they still gonna be used because we don't wanna come as one. We don't wanna be united, we as Africans. Because we select or we elect what we call the comrades, but then the leaders. We Africans were being led by the comrades, not being the leaders, or not being led by the leaders. I'm saying this because the first professor said that we have some businesses, maybe mining. Those minings are owned by people from foreign countries. They come here, they don't even empower anyone. But then what they do is they get whatever they want to get, they leave. In fact, we need to make sure whatever we have in Africa, it doesn't go out. We manufacture everything, we bring in everything on board as Africans, not like someone else who come from another country and come here mine after they take our resources and live with them. If ever gonna work that way, Africans we won't go anywhere. Now, if you can check, there are some big bridges. There are some tar roads that they've been built, but then they hire Italian engineers, not African engineers. Why? Because Africa is well equipped. In Africa, we have everything. We are well equipped. We can do whatever we want to do. We can achieve whatever we want to achieve. Only if we're being led by the leaders, not the comrades. That's my statement for now. Thank you, Mr. Ali.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable Honorable Alton. Thank you so much for your point. I'm gonna rush back to Honorable Professor Washibi. Professor Washibi, I wanna put a question with you now. Yeah, yes, Professor. Professor Adolf.
Yes, I wanted to comment on what Sir Alton has just said now, the issue of
Okay.
engineering and all that. For example, Ali, let me give you example about myself. I've studied metallurgical engineering, where I specialize with mineral processing, extraction of minerals from ore to a purified product. But the job opportunities for this kind of engineering, they are extremely scarce. Even when you see the post, they require like a lot of things. Maybe they'll require you a 5-year experience and a lot of things. Like, how do you get 5-year experience when you are just a graduate, for example? So what is happening is that this is politics. Remember, if we can have more metallurgical engineering in South Africa, that means we as Africans, we will be capable of extracting and purifying our own minerals. We won't need to export them or import them to other countries. So we will have to do and extract and refine them ourselves. So what they are doing is that they are limiting that. They do something like a threshold whereby only few can be used per mine, so that they require the experience. Because if they can hire more, then they will give skills to more African engineers, and then their companies can get removed or whatever, those type of a thing. So they do not want to give us the whole experience. And also, if you look at a company like Ford, that is here in South Africa, how they do, or any other company, a motor industry company, how they do their cars, they do not give us the skill. For example, when we receive, for example, parts from the harbor, they receive parts already shaped, the doors and everything. What happens is that here you are just assembling those things. You don't know, number one, how to create that. You don't know, number two, how to service that. You see, the engines comes from PE. What happens is that engine comes from PE as an incomplete engine, and then they complete it here. So they have split the duties so that we do not gain any experience. That's why we will remain slaves to them, because they're just giving us peanuts called salary, and then that's all we do. We do not gain experience. We are just helping them to progress with their economy and everything. So that is the problem with our African countries. We do not do things ourselves. They already showing us how to do things. Like, I don't see a point why someone should go to school to study mechanical engineering and go work for Ford, where they will use something that is called SOP, standard operating system, how to do a car or how to fix a car. I mean, you just need metric there and then you can do it. Your qualification was just a waste because they don't give you an opportunity to be innovative. They do not give you an
Yeah.
opportunity to invent. You see, so that's the problem. You get me? That's the
Okay.
problem with
All right.
African countries.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Arov. Now let's move to Professor Washiri before we move to Advocate Abram. Professor Washiri, how can we get, how can we get rid of these superpower nations from Africa? Because we can see that these superpower nations, they're not here in Africa actually to help us. They're here in Africa actually for them to benefit for themselves. They're here in Africa actually to come and take our resources. What can we do as Africa to make sure that we can use our resources, we can produce our resources and our minerals without the African countries having to come in Africa? I mean, the other countries such as your Asia, your US, your China, your Israel, without them coming to Africa. Professor Washiri, can you please unmute?
Okay, Mr. Ali, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof. Yeah, thank you. So on this very question, I think my take is this. First and foremost, we as Africans, we have to understand that it is very, very difficult to fight a common enemy, yet on the opponent side, we are disunited. Because it is very hard. For example, Africa, most of the countries, we face hunger, yes. We face corruption, yes. There is some political instability, but even within Africa ourselves, we are not united to fight this common enemy. So it becomes very, very difficult for we to make Africa to be who we need, where we need to be. I love the other question which was talking about language of communication. We are communicating what unites us as a language in Africa. It is a foreign language. That is English. And if that is to be, and for the Western countries maybe which speak French, that is still a foreign language. So if we are still to be united by a foreign language, and yet we need to stand on our own and fight the same foreign countries, I think it is somehow a bit difficult because majority of individuals and even the children we bring up, as they learn this English, it comes into their mind that these whites are the superior people. That's why even most people will wish to go to the Western countries to stay there, to study there, because we are communicating in this English. They feel, oh, now this is what can unite us. This is what is superior. This is what we are looking forward to. But I like an example of our very good neighbors here, Tanzania. Tanzania is a country, they were colonized by the Germans. But Tanzania, they don't speak German and they don't speak English. But those guys speak Kiswahili, which is an African language, a language of African origin. And it unites all of Tanzanians regardless of your tribe. That is what they speak. And even in school, they teach in Kiswahili, whether it is chemistry, whether it is biology, whether it is mathematics. They use Kiswahili as a means of communication in their country. So why don't we also try and come up with a home-baked, African-baked way of communication that shall get to unite us as Africans? We see our neighbors here, Rwanda. Now, Rwanda, is a very small country, but it is growing up very, very rapidly. They have a common language, which is their African language. But I think what we need to unite first as Africans. See how USA is a very big state, having 52 states, but it is referred to as United States of America, and see how it is developed. So Africans, I think we need is the time that we also need to come together, speak in one language, speak in one voice, understand one another, be united as Africans, put our problems on board and discuss and see how we can get to help ourselves. Because remember, when I'm in Kenya, there is those things which Kenya can produce and those which are in Kenya, but they are not in South Africa. As you are there in South Africa, I'm very much aware that there are also things which South Africa produces, which they're not in Kenya. Same to Ghana, where you go to Botswana, Zimbabwe, Cote d'Ivoire, and all the other countries. So to mean that in Africa we have all that it takes for we to be who we want to be, for we to live a good life without taking loans, without relying on our former colonial masters. The only thing is that we lack is unity. What we need first and foremost is unity among us as Africans. And once we are united, I'm very sure that the first thing we shall be able to communicate in one voice and put the problems on board, speaking in one language as Africa. But minus doing that, it is very, very difficult, as I said earlier on, to fight. Though we have common problems, but we are disunited amongst ourselves. My brother, Professor, has given a very good example of another country within Africa which does not recognize itself as part of Africa. So you get that it gets to be very difficult. I've seen our brothers in South Sudan. They got independence from the entire Sudan, but the war that is now in South Sudan even better the days when they were fighting for the independence. So you see, we have great problems. Mr. Ali, wait to take this example. Why is it that when there is a problem in Africa, we don't sit down to settle it as Africa, but we wait to be called for a meeting by the UN or a meeting like that to go in the Western countries to sit down and discuss our own matters? Why is it that even as Africans, we cannot sit down and discuss our own issues until we are called by a foreigner? Imagine you cannot solve something within your family that your neighbor has to come and call you and tell you, oh, you need to have peace between you and your wife. You need to have peace between you and your brother. It doesn't work, Prof. So we need unity. Unity is what can help us to speak in one voice and be able to stand on our own and be developed. Thank you. Back to you, Prof, in the studio.
Thank you so much, Professor Washiri. I'm bringing Advocate Abram on the board. Advocate Abram, what is your view based on the topic which you're digesting? Advocate?
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. Good evening to everyone there.
Good evening, sir.
Number one, Ali, we as African, we lack a political education, we lack an economic education. Number two, we need to have a United States of Africa. Let our minerals work for us. Adolf is saying that, there's only few of us who are having skills to refine our minerals. But the problem is one. If we can say to us, which we want to be a sovereign state, no continent, you know what's going to happen? America will come and impose sanctions on us. Look at what they did to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is one of the richest countries. But what happened to it? It's no longer doing what? Participating in a Commonwealth. Why? Because now it has been imposed with sanction that it cannot do any economic activities with other countries. You understand? That is why the Western countries are having so much power against Africa, because now we as Africans, we are scared that, there will be sanctions that are imposed to us. But what is it that we are benefiting from the Western countries? When I look at it, it's a loss for us. So what is it that we as Africans come together? Let's unite as a whole continent and float the economy amongst us. Britain is being recorded as one of the most wealthiest when it comes to diamond. But in Britain, they don't mine diamond. They take diamond from Africa. The very same people that they own a diamond underground, they are not even wealthy of it. But a Western country there, it's recorded that it's a wealthy. How that is possible? So we as Africans, Ali, we need to come up together.
Are you still
Abraham, we can't hear you.
Abram, where are you, Chief? We can't hear you.
Mr. Chairperson in the studio, please bring Abraham on board. We cannot hear Honorable Abraham, please. I can't get you.
Okay, Ali. Ali? What's happening? What's happening here? Eh.
Professor Adolf, I think you should go ahead and give your view because it is like on their side they have a problem with their connection.
Okay, speaking of which, my view also, we need to strengthen our military system. I think we are very far in terms of technology and military system because we are being bullied by USA, we are being bullied by China, we are being bullied by Russia because of our weakness in the military system. So if we can invest more technology in our military system, then we will have a very strong, solid protection from us. For example, in South Africa, I mean in Africa as a whole, we do not own our space. We do not know what is happening, who is invading into our continent. We do not know anything in the atmospheres. We do not know underground in the seas what is happening. So we need a more strength in our military system, and then from that military system, as Abraham has said, we will be able to uh, not being bullied by these countries about their sanctions and everything. So the USA is very bully, especially when it comes to sanctions. That is why they are toe to toe with China, because China does not want to allow the bulliness from USA. And this country, what is this country? Is it Iraq or the ones that were Afghanistan as well, does not allow USA to bully them because their military system is too strong. So if USA find that this country is weak in terms of their military system, they become too bully, extremely bully to that country in terms of sanctions and everything. They want to impose how you're supposed to run your economy. They want to impose their political selections and everything. So Africa as well, we need to invest more on technology. But if I have to choose a partnership country, I think it will be best for Africa to partnership with China than any other those other European countries, so that we don't just partnership with them, we partnership with them so that we can uh, enhance our technology, we can enhance our industrialization and all those things. In once we do that, we know that we have alibis and everything, because each and every country we do need such people as well, so that when things go north, then we know we have alibis to help us in terms of that. So our military system as well is the one that is selling us out, so we need to strengthen it. We need to invest more on technology. The strength of the military system is technology. That's the simplest thing. Once you can have the strongest technology in your military system, then you'll be able to overcome what is happening, because you foresee things that are coming, that which are upcoming. So right now we're just relying on what we see. We cannot plan ahead. We just rely on what we see. Like USA, they have NASA, they control the space, they have satellites, they have everything. Their country is being washed from the atmosphere to the ground, from the inside of the seas and everything. So that is the weakest point that we have as well in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Adolf. But I think there is one thing I would like to disagree with you. You have said that if there is a country you can choose to partner with in Africa is China. But unfortunately, I'll say that amongst the top five of the dangerous nations we have around from the Westerners, which we should avoid, China is one of them. Because currently, the economic war between the superpowers is in between China and the United States of America. So if you say that we are to partner with China, I think we will still be creating another platform for war in Africa to be used by the superpowers. Because you understand that currently China is highly growing in Africa. It is a nation that the growth, actually, the economic and the technological advancement, as you have put it, but we should know that there is personal interest of that nation when it comes to invest in Africa. And I'll say that if you are to take your partnership to partner with China, then know that you will end up just developing and benefiting China, but not yourselves. Because that is what is happening. Currently, I can tell you that the highest people who are investing in Kenya currently is China, and more than any other nation. And if there is a nation that is partnering with most countries in Africa when it comes to matters of business, it is China. And that is one thing. Let me tell you, here in Kenya, currently, we are having a debt with China. We have to pay them over 3 trillion shillings on Kenyan. Actually, that is so much, a huge amount of money, 3 trillion to pay them for the things they have done. The president took their loan from them. They are here. Imagine taking a loan from somebody, then that person still comes to do some business here, whereby the investment the person is taking. For example, we need. Here we were developing a mode of transport known as the SGR, standard gauge railway train. The company which was offered this contract was from China. And so you get most of the benefits of that particular mode of transport, which is now a development in Kenya, is not benefiting the nation, but rather it is for the benefit of China itself. Most of the contracts, let me tell you that even you come to Kenya, you'll be surprised to get that even small businesses are being done by the Chinese. They have now taken from top to bottom. So you get that partnering with them is not actually helping us, but it is making them to benefit highly. Because imagine, they are now taking big contracts. They are also coming down to do simple jobs done by the common mwananchi here in Kenya, a common citizen, as we do call it here in Kenya. So you get that this idea of partnering with such a nation won't work, because one of the nations we should now try so much to be away with, number one is USA, and number two is China. In fact, it's like they are currently, I can say, they are the same position. So I cannot agree with what you say that we can do partnership with China. I think that will be very, very dangerous with the economy. That is actually a problem on our economy, and we need to evade that. So the best way is just to think as Africans on how we can sit down, settle our matters as Africans, how we can use our resources, what we have, because China will just use it for their own development, but not for us. So I think what I say, I don't advocate for us partnering with again any other foreign nation, whether it's for technological advancement. We have the brains, we have the potential, we have all it takes, and we can sit down and make and develop ourselves technologically. I think that is my take for that point. Thank you.